Hello, there's going to be two parts of this video. The first part is going to be a general overview of everything that's been added, and the second part is going to be a time-lapse of it in motion. I'm going to time-lapse a Hoi 4 game from 1936 to however long it takes for Germany to win or be defeated. But this is my Hoi 4 mod called Reichskommissariats with realistic states. There will be a link in the comments and in the description, and basically what the mod does is it adds a handful of new states, but the main thing is changing the shapes of the provinces to show the historical borders, the ones that the Germans at the time decided for all of these puppet states and colony states throughout Europe, which mainly means that the changes are to Poland and the Soviet regions. So first of all, I'm going to go over the changes, and then I'm going to show them in action, and then I'm going to do the time-lapse. The first change, the only change right now on the western front, is the addition of this state, Eupen, Malmedy. It's got a new province shape, which is pretty accurate to the main one. The main one is a little bit thinner right here in this small section, but it just wouldn't really work for Hoi 4, so it's a little bit on the big side, but it works. It's the territory that Germany owned in Belgium before World War I that was ceded to Belgium in the Treaty of Versailles, and it's in the game now, and it will get automatically annexed when you click on the decision to form the Reichskommissariat for Belgium. And I'm not sure if I made it cored or not. Most of these states aren't cored, they're just owned because, well, coring is kind of an inconsistent thing in Hoi 4. Usually it's like do countries recognize it, but then also for some countries it's just, is there a lot of German culture in this land? And then in other times it's just the leader wants to make this land cored, and so it is. So it's kind of inconsistent. I usually just keep these as occupied territories so resistance is there, but of course you'll still get some benefits from them. But that's a relatively minor state. The other changes outside of Northern Europe are, I added a new state and changed the province shape of this province right here for East Slovenia. This is the part of Slovenia that was ceded to Hungary. A lot of people know that Slovenia was split between Germany and Italy, but not many people know that it was also a part of it ceded to Hungary. So that's represented here. I believe that's it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so for Poland, which is the big one, I changed the shape of pretty much all of the border provinces here in between the general government and the new German border once they invade. In the base game, I'll show pictures if I can. The borders are pretty horrific, especially for the north and the west side near Liesmanstadt and Warsaw. There's this prominent little thing that sticks out in real life that they made flat. This whole thing is flat just on the river, and it really makes the border look quite a bit worse. Another thing is the addition of this state, which is to the west of Krakow. In base game Hoi 4, this is all one state of Krakow, meaning if you wanted to annex it, you'd have to annex this whole thing and it would look terrible. But in real life, the Germans took about this section along with this, kind of just keeping the shape of Silesia but kind of cracking its leg a little bit and going straight south. I also changed the province of Slovakia for this dip to be a little bit more pronounced as it is in real life. And the other main thing is Białystok. In base game Hoi 4, Białystok is butchered. It looks like the head of a shovel, and it looks nothing like how it used to. So that required a lot of changing. First of all, this dip that Lithuania does was not present in the base game, so it is, but it's quite small, so I made it a little bit more pronounced, which is important for the shape. I added the state of Suwałki, which was actually annexed before Germany invaded the Soviet Union as part of the partition of Poland. A lot of people don't know that. And I changed the shape of Białystok, gave it this dip that it has here in real life, changed the shape here, but mostly right here. And then I also added the state of Grodno to make this wider as it was in real life. And it also, of course, included the city of Grodno and West Wilno. And all these names also change based just like the new states in Hoi 4 do. So Wilno, will also be called West Vilno or Westville. It was something like that. It's not the whole long name that the state has, if it's controlled by Lithuania. I also added the state north of Polsy. This is Hansav. This was added because it's north of Pinsk, and this is where Reichskommissariat Ostland bordered the RK Ukraine. In the base game, I believe this is part of this state. It might also be a part of this state. I'm not sure. Or it might actually be both. I think I might split it. But it would make Ukraine either look too tall in that area, or it would make Ostland look too long. So I split that to be more accurate. And another big change was right here. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. There's this extra bit of territory that was owned by Poland near to Lviv that the general government owned in the part of the partition, which isn't like that. In the base game Hoi 4, they use the this line right here, which is the modern border of Poland for the most part, which is fine. That makes sense for after the game peace deal purposes. That makes sense to have this. So that's why this state is kind of skinny, because I wanted this border to still be intact. What else? Oh yeah, okay. So next up, Transnistria. I made these borders a little bit smoother, and then I made this accurate as well to the Transnistria puppet state that was transferred historically to Romania as a reward for their involvement in Operation Barbarossa. This little fiefdom, including Odessa. It's a very odd shape. I'll show you later. But I added that. The main thing with Ukraine was this state policy. I added this and changed some states around, so some parts that owned rivers before don't anymore, or both sides of rivers. I mean, they're like that. I added Gomel to this state, so this state is now known as Bochep instead of Gomel. And yeah, okay. So for Kiev, I added some more bumps to this, just based on the maps of Reichskommissariat Ukraine. The other main thing was Poltava. This area had a lot of border inaccuracies. I fixed this. And you might be wondering, why are they so inaccurate? It's because in base game, they decided to just give the modern borders of Ukraine to the Reichskommissariat, which is bad, mostly because it's not what happened in real life, and that you just shouldn't ever really strive for that. And second of all, it's bad for gameplay purposes because you have to conquer a lot more land to actually form the puppet state. So it takes a lot more time to form it, and it also leads to more border gore. What else? I think that might be it. There's other provinces that I tweaked around, but they're really not worth mentioning, to be honest. Yeah, I believe that's it for now. I want to add more, especially to Yugoslavia. Fix this because this state being Croatia is ridiculous. This little tidbit right here could easily be made into a separate state. Look, that's pretty much the border, to be honest, with modern day Croatia. I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna make this smaller as it was in real life. They didn't own this much land, the Italians. I'm gonna add the small states for Montenegro, so you can show the territory that it's Italy annexed there and some of these islands. I'm gonna fix this Albanian border because they did add this state to help with it, but also they still make it so they own all of Kosovo, which isn't accurate. They only owned about the southern part. I still want to fix the Greek state, so you can do this little border territory being owned by Germany and how this was split up. Same with Crete. And I want to add, that's basically it. I want to add more Balkan stuff, and then I could maybe focus on Japanese puppet states and potential puppet states, and also more non-historical stuff. But I'm gonna show. I have cheats activated, focus autocomplete. I'm gonna do focus.no checks, so it doesn't yell at me. And I'm just gonna kind of go through the focus tree as you would, and show how the borders look in action. Oh, and also I changed this small state to be even smaller because it was too big, and gave it to the RK because in base game Hoi 4 this is given to Germany, which isn't true. Alright, so I'm going to go through this. This does work with the newest update in the game, 1.16.2, but I'll probably update it because it wouldn't be too hard to update. And we're just going to go through these. Molotov, Ribbentrop, sure. What else? Anschluss. So Dayton land. These are ones that are always kind of given no matter what. And and this is fine. Slovenia, they always say no. Turn that off so the AI doesn't go crazy, and we're gonna play. This is all gonna go into effect. Memo folds, Moscow signs the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, Anschluss, all right, and Munich Conference. Okay, cool. So we have Austria, we have the Sudetenland, and we have signed the agreement with Joe Stalin. Now what? Now we're gonna turn back on no checks. We're gonna do the first Vienna Award, and we're gonna do the fate of Czechoslovakia. We're gonna set up Slovakia. That's historical, and we're gonna see how that goes. Anschluss, Munich Agreement, blah blah blah. Okay, cool. So we have this annex now. Now we can go to the arcade screen, and there's a couple new options. So I added not too much, but I added the option to expand Norwegian. You'll see this once you actually click the decision. There's some countries that just don't get RKs in the base game for some reason. Some of them make sense, like France, because that will become a puppet state. Italy makes sense because that'll become a puppet state. But Sweden makes no sense. I don't know if it's just because the developers are Swedish or what. But yeah. So I made an option so you can annex this all the way into this. But anyway, we're gonna do this one. Blah blah blah. And you can see now they control this part, and it still follows the same system as the update gave, where there's contested owners and all that, so it's not too unbalanced. I also had an option to revive New East Prussia. This was territory that Irredentist mentioned because of the third Polish partition. Prussia actually took this land, not this exact border, but you know, Bialystok was one of those cities that was taken. So that's part of the reason why Germany took this state and had plans to annex it. So I added that as a decision. It doesn't give you cores, it just makes you owner a controller and fixes some of the border gore. So for example, if some other country had territory here, as long as they're an ally or a puppet, it'll give it to you. And Hitler's in charge. If you go a non-historical event, that's a whole other thing. That's the same with some of these other arcades that get messy. Like Romania likes to stretch its occupied territory all the way to Stalingrad, and that sucks. So even if they occupy this territory, you can still release Ukraine, which is fair enough. Okay, so we did that, and we have Slovakia. What's next? I guess next would be Vienna Award. We already did that. Next would be Poland, I think. Let's do Poland. So let's do no checks, because we don't have an army. And let's do Danziger War. I wonder what they'll say. I deleted all the armies beforehand, so we're just gonna do the OP strat. If you don't know what that is, it lets you click on a province and occupy it. They said no. Fair enough. We're gonna declare. Boom. Don't care. There we go. Let's declare on France as well. Allow Diplo. This is a cheat that lets you do whatever you want. There you go. Turn it off. Great. Okay, they're in the allies. They're going to capitulate to us. Let's click on all our cities real quick. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. Great. You usually need to take all of these with Poland because they are pretty stubborn, which makes sense. There we are. Is that enough? Yeah, that's enough. Is it? Yeah. Okay, cool. Turn that off so we don't accidentally click on our stuff. Let them cap. There we go. And in a little bit, they will, yeah. We'll say sure. And there we go. So we got the accurate border here. It looks really ugly because we haven't released the general government. But yeah, including Slovakia. And this border right here is good. We also own this little bit, which is accurate. And now we are going to establish general government. Sure. Here we go. Look at that. Looks a lot better. Got this questionable gentleman in charge. And now we are going to go after... We're going to go after the Low Countries. So we're going to do no checks again. Just be safe. And we're going to do around Maginot. This thing. And war with France. Okay, cool. So now I think we have war goals on these guys. Let's do it. Boom, boom, boom. Unpause. Turn on OP again. Oh, forgot about you. And I forgot about you. Let's do this. Alrighty. And we're just going to invade them. What? Did I not declare war on you? I don't know. Okay. Now we're going to chip away at France. There we are. Vichy. Great. Now Belgium's turn. Here they go. And now Holland's turn. There they are. They're all dead. Okay, cool. Now we have more decisions. Oh, oops. Let's click our other decisions. Belgium, sure. And Netherlands, sure. Okay, cool. So you can see they have all our territories. It's pretty accurate anyway, so I haven't touched it really yet. But we also took Eupen. So that's ours now. As it was historically, this was something they took in World War I, and Hitler wanted it back, so he got it back, along with Luxembourg. Okay, there you go. Oh, that's a disgusting color. Okay, now they join the Allies. Makes no sense. Okay, whatever. Oslo's next. Jump on there. And all the other cities in Norway. There we go. Is this all of them? They're all over the place. One of the more annoying countries to kill in the before. Yep, they're done. Okay, cool. Pop. There they are. Don't care about this. Alright, more decisions. Here we go, Norwegian. Cool. And if we invaded Sweden, we can also do that. Alright, I think we are good. It's go time for the Soviets. Alrighty. So we're going to do a thing, just because I don't want to wait or do any event nonsense. We're going to puppet Romania. Because the decision to give them Transnistria will only show up if they're an ally, because it doesn't really make sense to give it to them if they're not an ally. And now we're going to do our thing. Lovely thing with the Soviets. Boom. Okay. And then you'd invade. And then, of course, Russia would already own the Baltics and yada yada, but whatever. I'm not going to invade them. I don't have an army. I could click on cities, but that'll take a while. So I'm just going to do decision, no checks. And remember, if you ever use this, keep it paused, because this will work for the AI too. And the AI will go and form a bunch of nations and click every decision they can, even if they're usually not visible. So, all right, first of all, we're going to revive. So again, like I said, most of these decisions you have to actually control it to do it. You can't just click this and steal the territory. There we go. And we're going to do Ostland. And we're going to do expand this. We're going to do Ukraine. Here we are. We are going to grant Romania her fiefdom. And they get this new country here, Transnistria government. It's just Moldova, but given a special tag. And they are a puppet of Romania. There we go. And you can still expand it into this. These are base game decisions, but you can still use them if you want. Let's do this. Just why not? And Caucasia, Moscow. This one will take a little bit. There you go. Turkestan, sure. You can do it. You could go over and over this and give Finland its territory, blah blah blah. But that's pretty much it. It makes a really big difference, to be honest, with everything. With how the game looks, Germany just feels more imposing this way, to be honest. It's more satisfying to take it over when it has this bigger territory like this. And from what I've seen so far, it doesn't really buff them too much, which is good. And it's more accurate, which is, again, is the main thing. Some stuff is left out, like this is still Soviets, but in real life, they would have probably just annexed this anyway because of it's a whole thing. But they would have annexed this anyway. I will add decisions in the future, maybe to make it so you can form a separate puppet state here, or you can add it to Ukraine. Among other changes. But yeah, so RK Ukraine looks fantastic. Ostland looks fantastic. Germany looks fantastic. Poland looks fantastic. All of these look way better. And that's the end of the showcase. So, like I said before, there's going to be a link in the comments and in this description. If you want to get this, it is available on the Steam Workshop, and it is up to date. So now, I'm going to exit out of this, and we're going to load up a historical game, and we're going to let it run and see how it looks in a time lapse.